Easy to remember carotenoids because carotenoids are abundantly found in carrots, which gives it the yellowish to orange color. Chlorophyll B pigment has the ability to absorb blue light at the maximum, and we all know that blue light also increases the rate of photosynthesis. G there stands for grana, L there stands for light. So light reaction takes place in the grana. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to another session on chapter 13, that is photosynthesis in higher plants. I'm Dr. Divya, Biology faculty, Vidyashram Pre-University College, Mysore, Temple of Excellence. So in the previous session, we had discussed about photosynthesis, wherein we came to know that photosynthesis is a process wherein, or it is a physico-chemical process wherein the plants make use of the light energy and converts it into chemical energy in the form of food. And also we came to know about some early experiments that had been conducted by various scientists in order to prove the different process or the raw materials that are being involved in photosynthesis. So we studied about Priestley's experiment wherein he proved that the oxygen is liberated during the process of photosynthesis, and also we came to know about Jan Ingenhouse's experiment, and also we learnt about the experiment which showed that wherein by passing the light through a prism, the red light and blue light that came out of the prism was absorbed more by the plants, therefore increasing the rate of photosynthesis and therefore increasing the release of the oxygen. So all that we came to know about it, and finally we came to know that the photosynthesis is a step wherein which involves the usage of raw materials such as carbon dioxide and water, and that in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll pigments gets converted into glucose, wherein oxygen will be given out and water will be formed. So all that we understood in the previous session. So in today's session we shall clearly discuss exactly where this photosynthesis take place, in which part of the plant does this photosynthesis occur, and also we shall discuss about the absorption spectra, which depends on the color, that is the pigments that are present in the plant. So what are the pigments that actually help in the process of photosynthesis in the plant? So all that we shall study in today's session. So to begin with, we shall see actually where does this photosynthesis occur. So we know that photosynthesis occurs in the green plants, right? So in the green plants, where exactly does it occurs? So in the green plants, especially in the leaves and to some extent in the green stem, the photosynthesis occurs. Major part of the photosynthesis takes place in the leaf itself. So the leaf consists of mesophyll cells. So in the mesophyll cells of the leaves, there is presence of these organelles which are called as the chloroplast, and these chloroplasts are those organelles which contain chlorophyll pigments and therefore help in the trapping up of the light. So for this we need to understand first what is the structure of the chloroplast. So the chloroplast is an organelle which is oval in shape, and it is made up of two membrane. One is the outermost membrane, which is called as the outer membrane, and inner to the outer membrane is present the inner membrane, and towards the inside of the inner membrane is present a region which is filled with a fluid matrix, and it is called as the stroma. And in the stroma is present the grana. So if you can see here, grana and stroma are two very important structures in the chloroplast. So grana are nothing but the coin-like structures which are stacked one above the other. So if you take a coin and if you place one coin one above the other, it will look like a pile of coins, right? So that stack of coins is nothing but the grana that you see here, and it is in this grana that the light reaction takes place. Light reaction occurs in the grana, and this dark reaction occurs in the stroma. So these grana, if you can see, they are interconnected to one another. You can see one bundle of grana here, one more here, like this here, one bundle, and towards this side one bundle is there. All these are interconnected to one another, if you can see, right? So how are they interconnected? They're interconnected by structures called as the stroma lamella. So why is it called as stroma lamella? It is called as stroma lamella because though these structures connect the grana, they are present in the stroma. So based on that, the name has been given as stroma lamella. So that is, they form a connectivity or a bridge between two piles of grana here. And also, apart from these structures, the chloroplast is capable of synthesizing its own proteins. That is why they have ribosomes. So they have small granular structures which are nothing but ribosomes that help in the synthesis of its own protein. And they also have starch granule. So why starch granule? Because if you remember, while I wrote the equation, I told you glucose is one of the end product of photosynthesis, right? So that glucose, excess of glucose that is there, that gets converted into starch and it will be stored in the form of starch in the plants. So where exactly will it be stored in the form of starch? It will be stored in the form of the starch in the chloroplast, because the photosynthesis process will be taking place in the chloroplast, right? So that is why the chloroplast contains abundant starch granules, which is nothing but the stored form of glucose, and this will be utilized by the plants in the form of food whenever needed. And apart from that, they also have the lipid droplets. Not just these, the chloroplast also have their own genetic material, that is the DNA. So that is one of the characteristic feature of the chloroplast. So these are the important structures of the chloroplast. So among these, the starch, that is the grana and the stroma, are very, very important. Why? Because it is in the grana which absorbs the light and it undergoes light reaction of photosynthesis, under which there are two types of light reaction. One is the cyclic photophosphorylation and the other one is the non-cyclic photophosphorylation. And it is in this grana, two photosystems or light harvesting complexes called as the P680 and the P700 and all that will be present. So that in detail you will study in the next session. So here, that is why grana is very, very important for the light reaction of photosynthesis to take place, whereas the dark reaction occurs in the stroma, which is the matrix of the chloroplast. And this dark reaction doesn't mean that it takes place in the night. It only means that they don't make use of the sunlight. That is the only difference. So this is about the structure of the chloroplast. So since we know the structure of the chloroplast and we know that in the chloroplast it is the chlorophyll pigments that are being produced, we shall study how many types of pigments are involved in photosynthesis. So in the lower classes we would have studied that chlorophyll pigment, everywhere we would have just used the word chlorophyll, which takes part in photosynthesis, right? But in the chlorophyll, there are different types of chlorophyll pigments. Say for example, if you take a leaf, generally when you see the color of the leaf, it will look one shade of green. But that shade of green itself has different shades in the form of different colors, which is not that well visible. But actually, they have different colors because of the presence of different chlorophyll pigments. So there are 4 types of chlorophyll pigments that actually take part in the process of photosynthesis. They are chlorophyll A, which is bright green or blue-green in color. It is bright or blue-green in color. And chlorophyll B, which is yellow-green in color. Then xanthophylls, which is yellow in color, and carotenoids, which are almost yellow to yellow-orange in color. So easy to remember carotenoids, because carotenoids are abundantly found in carrots, which gives it the yellowish to orange color. So it is easy to remember. So how did they know that actually these many pigments are present? There is an experiment for that which is conducted. So what they do is they take some leaf material, they put it in a mortar and a pestle and they grind it or they crush it. Once the extract is crush it in either a aqueous extract or any solvent extract, they will just crush it, and whatever extract is got, that they will take it and one drop they will load somewhere here. So that drop, now this paper which is called as the chromatography paper, it is called chromatography paper. This will be immersed in a solvent mixture. It will be kept inside a jar or something which is having a solvent mixture. After few minutes, if you notice, here when you loaded the color, it was green. But could you imagine that green color could split into different colors? No, right? But after sometimes when you come and see the paper, you can see different shades of green there. Like say for example, you can see somewhat yellowish orange color which is carotene, then completely yellow color which is xanthophyll. Then we can see the bluish green color. This area if you observe, it is bluish green color which is chlorophyll A. Then completely yellow green color which is chlorophyll B. All these, or light green color which is chlorophyll B, all these got, the different colors got separated, and when they conducted studies on that, they came to know that in chlorophyll there are different types of pigments that are present which takes part in the photosynthesis in the plant. So now, though chlorophyll is one of the major pigment, among all these, chlorophyll A is one of the major pigment. So, and all the others, that is the chlorophyll B, the xanthophylls and carotenoids are called as the accessory pigments. So, chlorophyll A is the major pigment and its main function is to trap the light. So, whatever sunlight is falling on the plant or the leaf or the green leaves will be trapped by the chloroplast cell. So, exactly what helps in the trapping by the chloroplast? The chlorophyll A pigment that is present in the chloroplast, which will help in trapping of the light. And now you might ask, so if chlorophyll A itself performs the function of trapping all the light, what is the need for the other three pigments? So these three pigments, that is the chlorophyll B, the xanthophylls and the carotenoids, they are called as the accessory pigments. Why? Because these accessory pigments also absorb light and also they help in the transfer of the energy to the chlorophyll A. Much of the light is being absorbed by the chlorophyll A, but apart from that, the other three pigments that are there, they also help in trapping the light, and whatever excess of light they have trapped, they will give that energy to the chlorophyll A so that it can perform the function of the photosynthesis smoothly. And apart from these accessory pigments, which are they? The chlorophyll B, the xanthophylls and the carotenoids, they not only enable a wider range of wavelength of incoming light to be utilized for photosynthesis, but they also prevent the photooxidation of the chlorophyll A. So we all know that chlorophyll A is capable of absorbing the red light. So red light has a lot of wavelength, right? It has about 680 to 700 nanometer wavelength. So apart from that, when such a amount of wavelength is absorbed, the cells, that is the chlorophyll A pigment, or it should not cause photooxidation of the chlorophyll A pigment. So in order to prevent the photooxidation of the chlorophyll A pigments, actually these pigments, that is the accessory pigments, helps the chlorophyll A and in preventing it from being photooxidized. So that is the function of the accessory pigments. So therefore, now we know how many pigments take part in the process of photosynthesis. It is chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, xanthophylls and carotenoids. Now we shall exactly understand how exactly these pigments play a very important role. Especially among these, the chlorophyll A and the chlorophyll B play a major role in the photosynthesis. How exactly? We shall see. So that can be depicted in the form of graph. So scientists, they wanted to understand how exactly the chlorophyll pigments take part in the process of photosynthesis. So if you remember, we had talked about an experiment, right, wherein a scientist, he had passed a spectra of light through a prism, and through the prism, whatever light that came out of the prism, it got split into different colors. Say for example, it had different colors, that is almost the rainbow colors, Vibgyor colors, wherein red was there, blue was there, all that. And he found out that is the red and the blue light was absorbed maximum by the plant, and therefore it increased the rate of photosynthesis and therefore the liberation of oxygen. Now this was depicted in the form of a graph in order to understand very clearly. So what they did was they started studying on the pigments. The scientists started studying on the pigments. What were the pigments? They were the chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, the xanthophylls and the carotenoids. They started studying. So what are pigments actually? So pigments are those substances that have the ability to absorb light at specific wavelength. Say for example, if chlorophyll A has to absorb light, the light should be of a specific wavelength of, say for example, 680 to 700. Beyond that wavelength, it will not absorb. So therefore, pigments are those substances that have the ability to absorb light of a specific wavelength. So based on its ability to absorb light of a specific wavelength, they participate in the process of photosynthesis. So how is that? We shall study. So first we shall look into a graph, which is the absorption spectra graph. So here you can see the x-axis and the y-axis. So here in the y-axis, they have taken the absorbance of light by chlorophyll pigments. So what light exactly the chlorophyll pigments absorb? So you know that when we see a sunlight, we just feel that it is either white light, right? It looks like a bright white light. But exactly in that white light, there are different shades of light being present, such as Vibgyor. So for your easy understanding, I'll just write the 7 colors of the rainbow, which is actually present in the sunlight itself. So that is why, so when it rains, no, we can see when there is bright sun, and it also when there is rain, and along with the bright sun, what happens when the sun rays pass through the water droplets, it splits into different colors. That is what the rainbow you see. Means that is understood that it is not just white light that is present in the sunlight, it is of different colors such as violet, then comes indigo, then comes blue, then green, yellow, orange, red. Vibgyor, that is violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. So I have written like this. So they have a different wavelength. Say for example, here it is, they have mentioned it is in the other graph, it is 400 nanometer, then comes 500 nanometer, somewhere here 500, then comes 600 nanometer, then comes 700 nanometer. Like this, they have put the wavelength. So here, what is the function of the pigment? It helps to absorb light of only a wavelength. Now, what are the pigments here we are talking about? We are talking about chlorophyll B, carotenoids and chlorophyll A. If you can see here, chlorophyll B, I'll just write it here. Chlorophyll B, they have given the graph line green color, right? And then for chlorophyll A, they have given blue. Why have they given blue color? Because the chlorophyll A pigment's color is blue-green, right? So that is why. And chlorophyll B's pigment color is somewhat light green or yellow-green. And next, carotenoids, that is carotenoids, they have given yellow color. It is yellow to yellow-orange. So now we shall see which pigment exactly absorbs light at which wavelength. So here what happens, you can see a graph that is plotted. You can see so first it is chlorophyll B. I'll take the chlorophyll B. So if you see the chlorophyll B line, you can see that it has come to a maximum peak. Now I'll draw a line in the maximum peak. Exactly it comes to blue. So what it means? chlorophyll B pigment has the ability to absorb blue light at the maximum. And we all know that blue light also increases the rate of photosynthesis, right? So now it is understood. What is the function of the chlorophyll B pigment now? The function of the chlorophyll B pigment is to absorb a light of wavelength between 400 to 500 nanometer or 480 nanometer, which is nothing but blue light. 480 nanometer means it is blue light. Next, when you see the chlorophyll A, this is the line here. So chlorophyll A. Here also you can see chlorophyll A also has the capability of absorbing blue light, and again here chlorophyll A also has the ability to absorb red light. So chlorophyll A can absorb blue light and also it can absorb red light, therefore increasing the rate of photosynthesis. So remember that prism experiment, what happened? When light passed, wherever blue and red light was falling on the plant, there, because photosynthesis was more and oxygen was more, the bacteria, aerobic bacteria, started moving towards that particular light, right? So therefore, now which is actually absorbs that is red and blue light both? It is the chlorophyll A. Now you might have understood why chlorophyll A is the important pigment that traps the sunlight's energy, and it is called as the main pigment, and the others are called as the accessory pigment. So here carotenoids also, if you can see the yellow line, I'll just draw. It absorbs blue light and it also absorbs the green light. So but the photosynthesis rate is less. Why? Because it absorbs only the blue light, the other light is green light. Only red and blue light, if it is absorbed in maximum, the photosynthesis rate will be maximum. Therefore, the giving out of oxygen will also be maximum. So therefore, what is understood by this particular graph? The absorption of light by chloroplast pigments is more in which chloroplast pigment? It is more in the chlorophyll A. Why? Because chlorophyll A can absorb the blue light as well as the red light. So that is what we absorb. So now we know which pigment actually participates more in the process of photosynthesis. So after knowing this, what scientists did was they plotted one more graph to see if the chlorophyll A pigment absorbs both the blue and the red light, what will be the rate of photosynthesis, or in other terms, what will be the amount of oxygen that is released to the atmosphere. So here you can see again one more graph. If I write Webb, so here also you can see it is maximum in blue light and it was maximum in the red light. So therefore understood, between somewhere 480 nanometer and somewhere 670 to 700 nanometer, there is maximum. So it means that whenever the sun rays are falling on the plant, the chlorophyll pigment, especially chlorophyll A, absorbs the blue light of 480 nanometer and the red light of somewhere between 600 to 700 nanometer, that is maybe 670 nanometer, therefore increases the rate of photosynthesis, therefore increasing the release of oxygen by the plant. So that is understood by this particular graph. So now they understood which pigment actually participates more in the photosynthesis, that is chlorophyll A, because it has the ability to absorb the blue light and the red light. And now they also understood, because chlorophyll A has the ability to absorb blue light and red light, that is why it increases the rate of photosynthesis. Therefore, on other hand, it increases the amount of oxygen that is released to the atmosphere. So now we know that after that they wanted to know how much light is absorbed, exactly at what nanometer the light is absorbed. So to know that, they took again plotted a graph wherein you can see the black line that is there, it is the rate of photosynthesis, and the blue line that is shown here, it is the absorption. Why have they given the blue line? Because blue line is something related to chlorophyll A, right? So that is what they use, because we are talking about chlorophyll A now, because that is the one that actually mainly participates in the photosynthesis process. So here you can see of different wavelength, that is they have marked in the x-axis and y-axis. In the x-axis, they have marked 400, 500, 600, 700 nanometer. So here, and in the y-axis, they have given the light absorbance. So if you can see here, the light absorbance is more at somewhere between 470 to 480 nanometer, it is more. So therefore, the chlorophyll A, the rate of photosynthesis is high when the absorption of light is at 470 to 480 nanometer. That is blue light. And here also you can see a peak has come. So when you draw a line here, here also it is between somewhere 670 to 680. So therefore here also the photosynthesis rate is high when the absorption of light is of 670 to 680 nanometer, which is nothing but the red light. So it is understood now. So what it means is that among the different colors of light given out by the sun's rays, the chlorophyll A is the main pigment that traps the red light and the blue light, therefore increasing the rate of photosynthesis and therefore giving out more amount of oxygen to the atmosphere. So that is what they proved here. So now we exactly know what is the role of the pigment, especially chlorophyll A, in the case of photosynthesis. So if this is clear, we shall see the next step, what is light reaction. Now we know about chloroplast, where exactly in the chloroplast the photosynthesis takes place. That too in photosynthesis there is two types, one is light reaction and the other one is dark reaction. And when talking about light reaction, I told you light reaction takes place in the grana. It is easy to remember. Green leaf. So G there stands for grana. L there stands for light. So light reaction takes place in the grana. So where is the grana present? It is nothing but the thylakoid of the chloroplast, right? So here what happens there is, in the grana what happens, the light will, when it falls on the green plants, in the mesophyll cells of the leaves wherein chloroplast is being present, in that what grana is there, that will trap the light, because in that grana there are the pigment molecules that is present. So it will trap the photon. So what is photon? It is nothing but the light particles. It will trap the light, and these pigment molecules, it will get stimulated. They act like antenna. So they'll act like antenna, they will get stimulated, and what happens here, in this pigment molecule there is something called as LHC, that there is a reaction center which is light harvesting complex, and this light harvesting complex has a reaction center called as PS2. PS2 and PS1. PS2 and PS1 are there. So here what happens? It traps the light's energy and the electrons will be transported from here towards the primary electron acceptor, and it will move along through the cyclic and the non-cyclic reaction. So the photophosphorylation. So that we'll study in the coming session. So this is what actually happens in the light reaction. So here light reaction occurs in the grana. In the grana, chlorophyll A pigments are there. Those chlorophyll A pigments will trap the light energy, that is the photons, and when it traps the light energy, it will, there is presence of the light harvesting complex LHC. That light harvesting complex consists of two photosystems, that is photosystem 2 and photosystem 1. So when light falls on them, what happens? The electrons which are there, they will get excited to the higher, excited towards the lower level. So electrons will travel from a region of higher concentration towards the region of lower concentration. There one electron acceptor, which is the primary acceptor, will be there, which will accept the electrons, and it will give the electrons to the electron transport system, wherein this particular reaction of photosynthesis, light reaction, will take place and it will get completed. So that is what actually happens, and it is in the light reaction that actually the ATPs and the NADPH will be produced. So all that we'll study in the coming session. So I hope you understood this session well. So in today's session, we mainly discussed on exactly where the photosynthesis takes place, that is in the chloroplast. So we understood what the chloroplast structure is and what are the structural components of the chloroplast, and also we understood exactly what helps in the process of photosynthesis. There are pigments which take part in the photosynthesis, right? So they are chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, xanthophylls and carotenoids. And also we understood how chlorophyll A participates mainly in the process of photosynthesis, wherein it is the major pigment that absorbs the red light and the blue light, therefore increasing the rate of photosynthesis, and also in turn giving up more amount of oxygen to the atmosphere, because oxygen is one of the byproduct of photosynthesis. We know that, where in photosynthesis they make use of the raw materials such as the carbon dioxide and water and converts it into glucose, which will be used by the plants, and oxygen will be given back to the atmosphere, right? So all that will take place in the grana with the help of the chlorophyll A pigment. And apart from that, the other pigments that are there are called as the accessory pigment, and they actually protect the chlorophyll A pigment from getting photo-oxidized. And not just that, whatever energy these other pigments trap, that also they will give it to the chlorophyll A pigment. So therefore, increasing the efficiency of the photosynthesis. And we also learned that in the grana of the chloroplast, the light reaction of photosynthesis occur, and if the light reaction has to occur, we learned how the electrons will get generated and will be transported. So we learnt about the light harvesting complex, which is made up of photosystem 2 and photosystem 1. So in the coming sessions, we will discuss in detail about these two photosystems which involves themselves, wherein photosystem 2 and photosystem 1 takes part in the non-cyclic photophosphorylation, which is also called as the Z scheme, and the photosystem 1 takes part in the cyclic photophosphorylation. And during that process, how the ADPs get converted to ATPs and how the NADPs get converted into NADPH, all that we will study in the coming session. So we shall meet again in the coming session. Thank you.